Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday, the 20th of July. So, looking at the euro dollar first, and well, yesterday we put in a bearish Rami candle there, so it looks a bit bearish at the moment at least. However, today's a big day because we've got Draghi speaking later on. We've got the 12.45 minimum bid rate for the European region, ECB. I would doubt if there'd be any changes there, certainly. But more importantly is the press conference at 1:13, where it's almost expected that Draghi will speak about tapering, financial easing, or the reducing of such. Um, so, well, we'll see what happens. But this could be quite a biggie. So we'll see. He is good at managing to fluff his line somewhat. So anyway, I'm expecting some decent movement later on today. Right. Okay, so that's Draghi. Let's look at the technicals and continue looking through the technicals here. Consolidation where we are. I mean, it sat through the whole of yesterday in this consolidation phase. It just pipped down a bit lower than I'd have personally liked, but it's sitting in the same sort of range, and there's little to be done at the moment with the markets here. It's already hit the daily pivot there, and I think we could well see it quite range bound until Draghi speaks later on. If it isn't, well, if further rumours come out, we'll see what happens. But interesting point in the market with the euro now. Okay, pound dollar. So retail sales out for the pound dollar today at 9.30. It's gradually easing itself back into its weekly pivot here. It's slightly off this morning as well. Already had 3 down days there, but potential for it to pull back towards that daily 8 moving average, maybe more. Looking at where it is at the moment, certainly looks like it may want to run back towards the weekly pivot there. It hasn't had the strength, didn't even get back up to its daily pivot yesterday, struggled to do anything. And again, when you look at this hourly picture, it really just sort of sums up. It's very range bound at the moment, as I said. It looks like it may just roll over. S1 below, prior lows there, sort of sitting around that sort of same area. May just come back and test that area. We'll see how it runs. Retail sales may be a sort of a kicker this morning. We'll see. But again, well, as we're moving it through this week, we're just sort of seeing very little in the way of volatility during the day. And when you see this tightening of volatility, you know at some point it's going to go, and we're going to get some big moves. But which direction may be the bigger signals that we're showing here. This divergence on this sort of 4 hourly is going to come good, and it's going to roll over some more, maybe rolling back towards the 4 hourly 50, maybe beyond. Okay, that's the pound. Let's have a look at the dollar yen. So big picture dollar yen. Well, that seems to have found some consolidation, and it's found some consolidation, found some support even, and consolidated yesterday somewhat. Didn't manage to break down towards that monthly pivot after all that. We put in a bit of a divergence on the 4 hourlies, just run back towards its 21 at the moment, having a reaction to that. But a break of that level, well, a weekly pivot may be on yet, but I think it may be a big ask. But as I said, it has certainly changed here. The ranges, the daily ranges are reducing. It's doing pretty much what you should do each day in terms of breaking, then running to the trend and putting new lows in. But at the moment, it's just really confirmed a cleaner, higher low. I guess it's possibly a bigger retracements it had for a while. So, and it's almost taken out yesterday's lows. Not quite done that. Break of that would confirm that sort of the overall higher low. Otherwise, it's maybe just another one of these waves within these sort of a slow sell-off. But my preference has been on the downside most of the time here. Could well come into being again, but it's just certainly the speed of this sell-off has been slower and slower. There we go. Just put that in there. So things have got slower and slower, and as I said, there's that divergence on the 4 hourlies there. So we could maybe get a slightly bigger correction. Whether this correction we've seen here is that's it. If that's it for the yen, well, perhaps a bounce is due. Okay, Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar put yet another update yesterday. It's pushed up the first things through the Asian session. It's put a bit of a bearish signal in there with a shooting star almost into the weekly R2. At the moment, at least, it's selling off. Bit of a funny old one. In the main, it's up until now with all the higher highs, higher lows. The preference has been to the upside, but at some point, of course, it will sell off and have a correction. It's whether or not this is the correction, or they've been pretty shallow up until now. But we'll see. At the moment, it's well, finding a bit of support off the alleys at the moment. Maybe we'll push back up a bit more, but let's see how it's run out. It's already hit almost a full range of pivots today. The pivot has been so pinched from yesterday's very tight range. Again, you see in this sort of consolidation phase, the tight ranges that we're seeing through these markets. It's not quite, actually, there was some divergence within the 4 hourlies there as well. So certainly signs of weaknesses on, as I say, we've seen it on the Aussie dollar, the yen. You're seeing it across a lot of these markets. The pound did it as well, and across the 4 hourlies. So you're seeing this divergence running across. It'll be interesting to see how many of them correct. Okay, and finally, let's have a look at the Canadian dollar. Actually, let's just look at oil as we're to see what's happening. It's back up to 47. Okay, it's pushing up again, so strong and good for the Canadian dollar. So Canadian dollar once again put another down day yesterday. The weekly pivot looks like a very unlikely target now, although the overall movement for most of this week is pretty minimal. And again, we're sort of seeing these long consolidation phases and a relatively short movements. Come back to the hourly, you can see it's actually yesterday rolled over a bit better than I may have expected. Actually, it just carried on going as it should do, almost with these lower highs in lower lows. My preference still is to the downside at the moment. Did I just check that we didn't really have any divergence in it yesterday? So the CAD against the US dollar certainly looks strongest, and maybe if we start seeing a breakdown of these lows again today at some point, say this morning, but it may come a little bit later. Oops, let's just see if we can get a pen on here. There we go. Just draw that trend line. Well, there's a very conservative one. You may find some better opportunities if it starts breaking down through the 21s, for example. If there's some opportunities on the shorter time frame, may give a short position back towards yesterday's lows again. So maybe the S1 there. So certainly at the moment it's looking like, well, it's run back up to that 50 again. At some point, of course, we are going to change, and this correction may be big enough to see it as classed as a higher low. So we'll see how it runs. But my preference is selling on these at the moment. But as I say, at some point they have got to change, and we've got to see some decent corrections. Right, that's it for me. Have a great day. Sorry, I should just check through any other news. Any other news then? Well, we should have already had the Bank of Japan outlook, etc. That's happened. There's a press conference that was due at 7:30. Beyond that, then the retail sales 9:30 is next news. Minimum bid rate 12:45, 1:30 press conference this afternoon, and of course unemployment claims to the US, which is not much of a mover on a weekly basis. Right, have a great one. Bye for now.